Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 204 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor and Damon. How's it going, guys?
It's going 204, huh?
204.
I just got back from the swimmy, and I had a little bit of an epiphany.
Oh gosh, I'm scared.
Yeah, I'd like to be the hall pass monitor, right? Like,
what is
I like to be the person that, like, if there's rules to follow, everyone should follow the rules, right?
Okay.
That's just what I feel like. I feel like that should be it. So I'm sitting at this swim meet, trying to record my son and people in the third row. Now I'm in this, like, I'm not in the stadium seats because I'm recording, so I know that I'm going to be standing. So I'm in, like, the mezzanine area where you can, mill around. And these people in the third row just stand up for the race. Of course, it has to be the same race my son is in. So after it's all over, I'm just like, dude, I'm just a little annoyed by this. So I kind of go down there and I'm just like, hey, just for the future, if you're in, the front couple rows, like standing up during a race, like I couldn't see. And the dude just went bonkers, just went off.
Wait, so you got in, like, almost a fight at the swim meet?
So I said something like because again, that was also,
yeah, no, I get it.
So I was always under the assumption that there's rules, right? That you're not supposed to stand during the swim meet, right? And all that. Anyway, it turned into a big thing. He actually got the pool director. Now, obviously, he knows the pool director. So when I was trying to explain it to the pool director, the guy just wasn't even caring. Right, he doesn't want to hear it. So I said, well, I thought that there were rules, right? I thought that there were, that you're not supposed to stand. Like, it's listed there on your website. Like, you guys used to have signs that said it. It just turned into a disaster. And I realized that I cannot be the herald for all the rules anymore. It's too frustrating. People have gone off their rockers. And this applies to Disney too. Everyone's so entitled that they really don't care if there's rules anymore. They're just going to do what they want. And that's exactly what happens. And then, again, because no one wants to enforce rules anymore for whatever reason, it just turns, and I feel like Disney is a little bit like that too. Like, the rules aren't enforced like they used to be because it turns into a whole big thing. And I just realized I cannot be that guy anymore. I cannot be the person that needs to make sure people are following the rules. It's a free for all. It's now a jungle. And I understand that now when I go to swim meets, hey, you can stand wherever you want. You can do whatever you want. You can walk right in front of somebody filming. Listen, do whatever you want. This guy tried to argue with me and tell me, well, if you were at a basketball game, I hope my son's not in the game for just 45 seconds. You know what exactly. I'm saying?
Like, that's such a straw man argument. Like,
yeah, it is.
It was terrible. He kept on asking me if it was my first swim meet. And I'm like, dude.
Oh,
really?
dude.
Like, I don't know. Is it your first swim meet? Because, like, again, my argument just was, rules or not, that's just rude. I said, if everyone stood up, no one could see. If everyone sat down, everyone can see. I don't understand why people think that they're...
That's just basic decency, though, right? Like, that's just like being... Like, that's...
Absolutely.
There doesn't even need to be a rule for that. It's like returning your shopping cart to the shopping cart thing. Like, and not just leaving it in the middle of the parking lot. Like, everyone knows that's not a cool thing to do.
But I don't think people care anymore because I see that more often now. It's just... And again, it trickles into Disney, which I think where people have kind of felt that, like, loss of magic. I think it's a little bit because of this and this whole entitlement. I don't know.
That was social media.
Yeah, I could agree with that too. I think that's part of it. And then, funny enough, I was having a discussion about, like, some things that have just happened in, youth sports. Like, every time I go to something, like, there's always a crazy parent saying or doing something. And I was telling somebody a story. And they were laughing. They're like, dude, you should, like, get all your stories, like, in one spot. And I was like, I think that's the next thing I'm doing. So after, what's in my attic is done and the attic is all cleaned up and, I'm a YouTube sensation for that, I'm going to do something about these used stories. Because I used to write them in a book. So I had them all. So I have this binder full of them, of just all, like, the craziness that happens. Like, people's kids not getting dessert if they don't do well, not being able to have the car for the week if you don't do that. Like, just absolute craziness that goes on with parents in youth sports. And it's just bonkers. I think I'm going to have to do a YouTube about that.
Tales from the swim meet.
It's not even swimming. It's everything. Like,
It's every sport.
It's every sport. Like soccer is crazy. I didn't realize how crazy soccer can get. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like these conversations I'll have with like one of my buddy. I'll record them like some secret phone conversations, do a YouTube channel around that. And I think it's going to be interesting. That's
David,
my next one. Yeah.
I'm so similar to this because like I'm very much a rule follower, right? Like, so I like to follow in the rules, and it bothers me when people don't. And like,
Terribly.
so the one that's been getting me lately, there's two that have been getting me lately. First of all, when I go to pick my daughter up from daycare, there are people that park in two parking spots. There's limited parking spots, and these people park in two parking spots and walk away. And I'm just like, seriously?
Yeah.
Like, there's no spots here, and you're parking in two spots just because you're too lazy.
That's a regular thing that people double park. Like,
yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Oh, yeah. And they just don't care. They just don't care at all.
Nope.
And then the other one, sorry, Trevor, not in Canada. Yeah.
We don't do that. Or sorry, it happens, but it's not like, it's not a regular.
The other one too is a lesser thing, right? But I do a lot of like curbside pickup if I go to like a restaurant. Mm-hmm. And so like this morning I went to Panera to get bagels, right? And I pull into the curbside pickup spot.
You went to Panera to get bagels. There's so much wrong with that, but go ahead.
Well, listen, it's the only place I have that's nearby. Okay. So, and I can do curbside pickup there. So anyway, I go to do curbside pickup and somebody pulls up in the curbside pickup spot next to me, and then they get out of their car and go inside. And it just drives me crazy. I'm like,
bonkers,
can you read? Like, or do you just not care?
I think again, I finally today was the day where I'm just like, you know what? I can't be that for society anymore.
I know.
I can't be that hero anymore. Like I just
see, I don't confront people. I just seethe internally.
Oh, I can't stop myself from like just saying something. Like, all right, like I'd be like, that's for, curbside pickup only. But then what happens is, right, even if I say it in a nice way, it always turns into something. So I can't be the Galactus anymore for rule following.
Well, and I don't go ahead, Sergeant.
I was just gonna say,
would that be a Silver Surfer? Would I be Silver Surfer of rule following?
Silver.
Because he's the herald, right, of Galactus.
But and he eventually rebels because.
Yeah, okay, I'll be the Silver Surfer.
But anyway, so all I was gonna say is I learned this lesson a couple of years ago when I walked into a Subway, and there was some lady.
A Subway or a sandwich Subway?
Like a sandwich Subway, like
okay, not like an underground train.
Yeah.
So like going into a Subway to get a sandwich. That I walked in and there was a lady standing just inside the door with her two teenage daughters, and they were chatting away. And I kind of walked up behind them and I was like, okay. And then they were talking and I was like, sorry, are you in line? And they looked at me like, well, yeah, of course I'm in line. Can't you tell? And like the mom. Like raked me up and down because I questioned whether or not she was in line. I'm like, but you're like 8 meters back from where everyone else is standing. So, I just politely asked and she chewed me out. And I realized at that point, it's like, it's easier to just not even say anything to people.
Polite.
Like,
even if you're being polite, like, hey, no one can see behind you. Can you sit down even if you're being polite, people take it as some affront to whatever. And they just have to go off. This guy said, the first thing he said, he goes, don't you ever talk to me. Don't ever talk to me again. I was like, okay, now we've had to escalate this a little bit because that's ridiculous. Like all you had to do is be like, yeah, okay. And even if he had said, yeah, okay, in the like brushing off manner, I don't know. Again, I just can't be the herald anymore. It's going to be just
I'm with you.
Around me is going to be just chaos now.
Listen, I have gotten the only place I'm actually willing to be annoyed about these things and say something is when we're at Disney. Honestly,
I'm not even going to do that anymore.
See,
it's a free for all. Cut in front of me.
Yeah,
go ahead. Eat my sandwich, even though go ahead. Take it right off my plate and walk away. Hey, whatever you got to do, man.
I think it's because at Disney, I know if there's a problem, like there's security, right? Like there's somebody else to back me up. You know what I mean?
Like I think what's happening though is that those people they're not going to do anything anyway. Because
that's true.
For a multitude of reasons.
Yeah. No, Disney's definitely always afraid of like the social media posts of like, I got kicked out of the park. And then they don't tell the whole story. Right. Yeah. But they make it seem like Disney's at fault and they were ridiculous for kicking them out. But, no, it's more like things that like if I've seen people that are blocking like the Fast Pass entrance or Lightning Lane, whatever, and they're just standing there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like they're just standing trying to figure out what they're going to do with themselves. It's just like, hey guys, excuse me, you're blocking the entrance. Like that's the only time I'll like confront people with stuff like that, or like, yeah. But I
don't even
usually
think
will
that
leave it
one's
alone.
that bad. I think like for me, I'd be more like, hey, you can't stand here because. Right?
Well, I've definitely had that before. If it's like hot enough and I'm annoyed enough, I'm just like, the excuse me will turn into a, excuse me, like, like really obnoxious. Excuse me.
You can't be like, you can't be that way anymore. It's just, it's not worth it. And I think that's, again, part of that, fully delves into what people are having problems with at Disney sometimes as well. And I don't know if it's a staffing issue. I don't know if it's just, it's Lord of the Flies now. I don't know what part of it is, but, people used to follow the rules a lot better, especially at Disney. But
I also think, just go, Trevor.
I think that kind of goes back to like we talked about it a couple of episodes ago, and you may have already been, or you may, I don't remember if it was when you were on, Damon, but they had updated their statements in the Florida and the California park, basically saying if you or there's like a disclaimer in there now. Yeah, if you don't behave yourself, cast members reserve the right to remove you from the park, basically. Like they're nicely saying, watch yourself or else, we'll do something about it. I think Disney is trying to, I think they're trying to re-empower their cast members, because you're right. For a long time, I think the message that they were getting was, it's easier to just, smile and give them what they want, and then they go away, and then everybody's happy, although not everybody's happy. Yeah. And I think Disney is coming back around, and they're realizing that it's actually pushing people away that do want to be there, because these people that are being, just absolutely awful are starting to run things, right?
And it's not just there, right? It's everywhere. It's the food stores. It's everywhere you go. I almost feel like you need to pay the people on the other end or hire more people to be able to control such a thing. But yeah, I get it. I don't know. Let's talk Moonlight Magic, though. Let's talk good stuff.
I mean, just to your point, though, there was just an article about this the other day about there was a fight at Spaceship Earth, of all places.
Earth? What the heck are you even fighting about on Spaceship Earth?
Apparently somebody bumped into somebody else with a wheelchair, and that caused a fight. And it's like, come on, man. Why are we getting
here's the thing. My wife has been bumped into with a stroller so hard it drew blood.
Yeah, me too.
That wasn't going to cause fisticuffs, right? Yeah. You say something, and then you're done. But yeah. I don't know.
No, this dude, literally, they resolved it in the line. They got on the ride, and then the dude waited at the exit for the guy to start a fight. And it's like, why? You went through all of Spaceship Earth, and we're still angry after that?
How much did you enjoy Spaceship Earth? And did you get the message of Spaceship Earth?
I mean,
right? Totally missed the message.
Yeah. Judi Dench is so calming.
I know, right? It's such a calming ride. It's like you think afterwards you'd just be zen, right?
Yeah.
But apparently
maybe that's what we need. Instead of more lounges, we need meditation areas. Maybe that's what the Moana thing is. Maybe Disney is smart enough to know that if they put that water feature in there, it's going to calm people down, and then Epcot will be a much better place.
That's kind of amazing. I could see that being a really chill area, though, right? That's going to be really nice, right?
Right?
Yeah. I'm trying to find this little line that you were talking about, because it was like a whole thing that they put in. Oh, please show common courtesy to fellow guests and our cast members by not using profanity or engaging in unsafe, illegal, disruptive, or offensive behavior, jumping lines, or saving places and lines for others.
The profanity thing is tough, man, because profanity is just part of people's lexicon.
Yeah.
I just that's always a toughie for me, but
that's a very gray area, and that's not even the one that I care about. It's the being disruptive.
Well, so YouTube has changed their whole thing about profanity too. And now they have something like if it's in the first 8 seconds of video, it's worse than if it's not, and you have X amount of times you can have profanity before it becomes an issue and things like that. That just turns into some crazy. You know what I'd really like to talk about today, to really just 100% be the most off-topic show ever, is the open gaming license. But I don't want to, because I know what it turns into. But that has been just all I've been watching and reading for the past however many days that's been going on.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Is this the D&D thing?
The D&D thing?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I've read about the D&D thing, yeah.
Yes.
How about we talk about it after we do some Disney stuff?
No, we don't have to. I was just saying, that's been, kind of the hot topic on my mind. So let's go into Disney stuff. Moonlight Magic events for 2023.
Yeah. We got no questions this week, by the way. None. I don't know where
there was one, but it wasn't really a question.
It was a statement. It was a question.
Yes, it was a statement of fact.
Yeah, and I don't even think actually we're covering that topic. I don't know.
No,
I don't think it was interesting. No, sorry, no offense. I think it was Lee. I'm sorry, Lee. No offense. I don't think it was something we would typically talk about.
So yes, okay. So there's 9 events across, the 5 Disney parks, right? It's a perk like it. Admission is free, after hours, limited, blah, 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 some free stuff and this, that, and the other thing. I like this. And again, I like the way that they're doing registration, right? Which I think that's how they did it last time, right? There's 2 phases. Yeah. So people have reservations as well as followed by general reservations for people that currently don't have reservations. And the registration then is going to be right for the first 2 events in January, blah, 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 blah. None of these events match up. I do like this as a perk. I've always liked it as a perk. I don't necessarily think it's something. I think about it like this. I don't need to make a trip for this. But if I'm there, it's an added bonus. It's a little pixie dust for me. And again, going to that last one at Typhoon Lagoon, it was okay. It's tough for me because they're late. I don't love that part about it. The food is right. You almost force yourself to eat because it's free, but it's not late at night to boot, right? Yeah. But I think it's a valiant effort for doing stuff, right, for them, and I like that. Right. I think it's an overall good thing that they do. I wish there was more, but I understand why there's not. None of the dates match up for me. Be there in June. Okay, fine.
Yeah. So we've got Epcot February 8th and 15th. We've got Hollywood Studios May 11th and September 13th. They're really spreading these out a little bit too. I mean, yeah. Animal Kingdom July 11th, August 2nd, and then Typhoon Lagoon May 23rd to August 23rd. Notice there's no Magic Kingdom dates. Which
how can you?
I
feel
know,
like
it's hard.
Yeah, with Tron opening, no way.
It's gonna be tough.
Yeah. They don't want to.
At least they announced them early this year, right? Like, how many times have we gotten last minute announcements lately? So, I mean, this is nice that they've announced them right in the beginning of the year, so people can plan around them if they want to. But to your point, Damon, I wouldn't plan around it either, right? Like, I'm not going to specifically go just for that.
It's a great benefit if I'm there. And I like that. I mean, I guess if you have a lot of flexibility in your schedule and you don't necessarily care when you go, I guess you could plan around it. Again, it's nothing to me that is, I would say maybe it's just less people there, right? I don't think there's anything special, truly like a one of a kind experience that happens, and that's okay. So that's why I wouldn't necessarily plan around it myself.
Well, it feels like a little more exclusive, at least, right? Like, 'cause
it does, but there's nothing about like being exclusive versus an experience that's unique are 2 different things for me, right? Exclusive is great. I love exclusive, right? We were having a conversation about where we're going for my wife's birthday, and she had listed 3 places. So I guess we'll either look at the Salamander, the Primrose, or the Omni in Virginia, right? And the Omni is half the price of the Salamander and Primrose, but I was like, yeah, but there's something to be said about that exclusiveness at the Primrose, right? Like, there's something about that. So I get it, but I just don't think for these events, there's no up, there's nothing there that's any different. It's just less people, let's say.
Yeah, I'd say that.
And it's a good thing. Like I said, I love them. Think they're great. I'm just not planning my vacation around them, but if they happen to be during my vacation, heck yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Totally.
Go ahead, Trevor.
I was just going to point out, you kind of touched on the last minute stuff, and I wouldn't be surprised. This is obviously Moonlight Magic that they've locked in. There's nothing saying that they couldn't, throw out more events later in the year.
That's true.
That's true.
So
they've done that before. I feel like every year they've added more dates later in the year. So maybe they'll add a Magic Kingdom date here or there if they feel like there's going to be enough availability for them to do that, but it's going to be some sort of weird off time, right?
Yeah, and I feel like they're not going to do that because they're now focusing on Tron, and I think the other thing too is that Magic Kingdom gets the after hours events, and
that's true. Yeah,
I think they're going to be pushing those more than any, and that's probably why this the way it's laid out this year, right? Is that they really want to double down on the after hours stuff, which means the other parks are going to be open, I guess, or have this option available. So I wouldn't bet on there being any Magic Kingdom Magic events this year.
Magic Kingdom's tough, right? Like it's just tough for them to do that. But you never know, right? But yeah, I could see them adding more dates though as we go. And there is a California Adventure one I think happening, isn't it? this month or next month? I think there's a Disneyland one, right?
Yeah, February 1st.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there. Oh yeah, there it is. It's right there. Okay, I didn't realize I had it right in front of me in my face here.
It wasn't listed with the bullet points with the other ones.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah, there it is. So yeah, so there is the California. So at least the Disneyland folks are getting some love. So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're really trying to get ready for a lot more DVC owners for Disneyland with the new tower, right? Because like building the lounge, and then they did. I mean, they in the past they've done like a California Adventure event, right? But it's I think they're going to try to start doing more for the Disneyland folks. It seems like it anyway. I don't know. But look, I'm glad they're planning this stuff ahead for once, and we're not getting all this last minute stuff like we did last year. It really felt like last year they were just kind of flying by the seat of their pants, right?
Oh, totally. And I feel like there's, we kind of knew that with the way things had been going last year, that, it seemed like Disney was very much on their heels with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. So it's like they're starting the new year fresh, Yeah.
And I think some of the other, topics that we have on the discussion here will kind of lead into that as well. That, I think we're going to see a different Disney this year overall. The direction and drive seems to be a little bit more organized than it was previously, which I think I'm just going to say, it's because, Chapek's not driving the boat anymore. That's
Well, and if you think about it too, he was before he was CEO, he was running the parks, right? So like he was in charge of what was happening with the parks for quite a while, right? So yeah,
did he just forget? Like,
did he just forget?
That's to your point, like that's the part that baffles me the most is, for somebody that, actually understood the operations of the stuff, it seemed like he was really tone deaf to all of this kind of stuff, like DVC, park stuff, all of it. Like it baffles me.
No, I think it's just like, as you get into the upper echelons of any company, like the minutia of the things that happen beneath you, I think get lost on you, right? Like I do think that can happen, but on the other hand, I do feel like Josh D'Amaro does know like the little things, right? Like I feel like he's very tuned in to like the very little things, and we'll talk about the changes that they're putting into place. And honestly, I'm shocked by two of these, really shocked by two of these. And I read an article too that Josh D'Amaro said, he was like, well, it's not necessarily because the CEO changed that, he's like, I listen to the guests and we continually evaluate things. But it does really feel like maybe he wanted to make these changes before and Chapek was like, no. And now that Iger's back, he's like, hey, I want to do this stuff. And Iger's like, yeah, go do it. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like that changed. Like, so maybe he always wanted to do these things and he finally got the green light to do it because he has Iger there. I don't know, maybe, but he's trying to make it seem like it's not because of the change in leadership, but I think we all feel like it is, right?
It's strangely coincidental.
It is.
Otherwise, it really, like, when people were, shouting for this stuff, it seemed like for months. And actually, I guess so.
Let's talk about it. Yeah, let's talk.
Yeah, the three changes, just high level, is the three things are complimentary self parking when staying at a Disney Resort hotel. Annual pass holders don't have to make park reservations anymore past 2 p.m. And attraction photos are now included in Genie Plus. So
these are all really smart moves, like really smart things to do.
But so let me ask a question though. Did they make changes to park hopping though, making it earlier as well?
They did for Disneyland, but not for Disney World yet.
Yeah. Disneyland can go to 11 now. So,
okay. Hopefully that comes to Disney World as well.
Totally. Yeah.
I think they will. Yeah. I think that's one of the changes they're going to make. I think it's a little more complicated at Disney World than Land, right? Because there's only one place to hop to at Disneyland, right? I think it's just a little more complicated, but yeah. So I'm trying to remember when they started charging for parking. It's been years now, right? This is the one that shocks me the most, honestly.
I feel like we talked about it when they first implemented it because, the logic was that, the parking lots do require maintenance.
Sure.
And so, paying for parking made sense because, everywhere else in the world, they charge for parking to maintain and keep.
Yeah, like most other resorts in Orlando charge for parking, right? Like it's not Disney was an outlier on that, but that's what people would say was part of why the Disney difference, right? Is that they didn't charge for that, right? I mean, and I think Becky said it in the Discord. It's like instead of just charging you for it, you just include it in the rate that you're paying for the room, and you don't even notice, right? Like, and that's probably what they're going to do. I mean, they might adjust the hotel rate a little bit just to adjust for that, but they're going to get their money somehow. But I mean, I think it's a lot of the things that Disney fans were complaining about was like the nickel and diming stuff, right? And this felt like a nickel and dime kind of thing.
Totally.
Right? Yeah. And so,
I mean,
good.
You're right. Even if they did go and change the rates and, you're still effectively paying for the parking. I mean,
it feels different. It just feels
the
different.
funny thing is that, at the end of the day, it never affected me because I never, drive a car when I'm in Disney anyway. But I can see where, like you said, when you're already paying for, Disney rates on things, and then it's like, oh, here's an extra $5 a day, here's an extra $10 a day, and it all, when you really look at the bill at the end of the day, and it's like, I came here for, this experience, and they tacked an extra $500 on top for all the, you need to pay for parking, you need to pay for this, pay for that, right? Yeah. I can see where people were mad about that. Like even my last trip, like, when I looked at the bill, I didn't end up spending over my budget, but that was, because we had some things canceled that we had planned for. But when I looked at it, it was like, oh yeah, this day it was an extra, $50 over here for this. It it is a smart move because even if they're not actually reducing the cost, it's reducing the perception of, and this. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Because it doesn't feel as bad when it's included and you don't know about it, right? Like, so if the resort just costs you a little bit more, you're not really thinking, oh, well, that's also paying for the parking, right? Like you're just thinking, okay, that's the cost for the resort. Whereas this, like charging an extra thing just feels, like I said, it feels like nickel and diming. It's very much a perception thing, but it's a good thing. It's a good change. And I kind of feel like I'm going to make a crazy prediction right now. And we can call me out on this later in the year.
Do it.
I think by the end of the year, they're going to announce the return of Magical Express. I think they're going to bring that back. I think that was a cost cutting measure by CapEx. And I feel like Iger doesn't like it. I feel like Iger probably wouldn't have gotten rid of it. And because it's something like this, right? Where it's like, they're trying to make it easier for people, right? To me, making it easier is Magical Express. So I'm going to throw it out there. They're going to announce it this year. That's what I'm going to say. It's based on absolutely nothing. Okay. I have no source on this. I've got nothing. I'm just throwing it out there just as a crazy prediction for this year.
Okay. So okay, let's double down on this then.
Ooh, I like it. How about we all make our crazy prediction for the year?
Well, no, I want to go. I want to go in on this Magical Express thing. So if you think that they're going to announce Magical Express, who do you think they're going to contract with? Would it be Sunshine Flyer or Mears?
Or will they do it internal?
Well,
I mean, they could pull.
You think they would buy a whole fleet? Just like,
why not? Dude, you're talking. It's Disney. It's not like it's mom and pop's, grocery store. Of course they could.
But I know they could, but I think it's a matter of,
what if they're making money?
If there's an established service already, just contracting with them.
Yeah.
But so here's the thing. There is no a service. So I think they can manipulate pricing. Well, there's no Disney specific.
There's no Disney run service.
Right.
Yeah. There's outside services.
Yeah, there's outside service. So if you can manipulate pricing, like have they seen enough of the books to be able to make it profitable for them now?
That's another question, right? Do they start their own private one that is not free, but maybe cheaper, or maybe, included
profitable
with your tickets or something?
Or, they can promo it a lot easier than.
Absolutely.
Mears.
I don't know. But I don't know if they want do they want the liability of that either, right? There's a lot to think about.
If you think about it, though, like, if they're really focused on making things easier, right? Like, there was a time, years ago, right, where they had not only Magical Express, but they also had the airport check-in right at your resort where you could drop your bags off right in the lobby of the resort. Like, and they don't do that anymore. And that was crazy.
I think that's like, but isn't that a TSA thing? That's not a Disney thing, is it?
That was a Disney thing, I think. I mean, that was
what I'm saying is, could you do it with the way that the rules are now?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah, because that wasn't that long ago. I mean, that was not that. I mean, I think that was a pandemic thing that they stopped doing. Yeah, because you could just drop your bag off right in the lobby, and they would get it to the airport and check it in and everything. And then once it gets to the airport, it goes through all the scans and all that stuff. Yeah,
I feel like if there's a question at check-in, though, now all of a sudden you're not there. Is that something?
I think it's just like they print your tickets out. They print your tickets out and take your bag. That's really it.
It's just bag check. It's not.
Yeah, it's bag check.
It's not like security, but yeah, that's I would never use that, but that's just me.
Well, I mean, we had a lot of family members that used it, and it was great. Like, it was so convenient, because they could just, and also the bag delivery service they used, they really used to do with where they would bring the bags, from the plane too with Magical Express. Like, that was very convenient for people too. So like, they removed a lot of those conveniences with the pandemic, didn't bring them back.
Can you send stuff back to your room yet? I always forget.
See, that's still missing too. So maybe that's another thing that comes back.
That's the thing I need back. That's the only thing that impacts me directly.
Yeah, man, I used to love that service.
Okay, do you think that's something that could happen this year? I think 100%. That's an easy win.
I hope so, because the biggest problem I have is that if I see something, especially at EPCOT, I don't want to buy it right then and there. But then the parks are so large that sometimes you're running back for stuff. I hate that.
I agree.
Yeah, we paid for lockers a couple of days just for that reason. That because we don't have
shopping
a ton of bags. Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah,
because we don't bring a ton of bags, so we bought a locker, knowing full well, like, the one day we were in Epcot, we're like, we know we're buying stuff today, so we got a locker, and then we went and we got our stuff, and then we ran. The lockers aren't too far from Creation Shop, so we went shopping, and then we just threw it in the locker until we were done, and then grabbed it on our way out. So. It's okay, but yeah, you're right. Having it back at the room would have been way better.
That was like one of my favorite services. Like, I do think they can bring that back. Like you said, they can bring it back easily. That's a staffing thing, right? Like, that's just that they need people to do it. There's no benefit
of money there, though.
That's true, but it's
well,
the thing is, like, there's a lot of things that Disney does that are not a benefit, that don't, help their bottom line, right? Like,
and I hear Tresha going, because it might be, because like you said, maybe you buy more stuff if you have it.
Is.
I get that.
Yeah.
I know that's where you were going. I heard it in your voice.
Yeah, there is absolutely that factor of people on a day-to-day basis, spending, it's the difference of, hey, I spent $100 on stuff here, or I only spent 50 because I was too tired.
You didn't want to carry it.
Yeah, it's like I would buy that thing if I didn't have to carry it. You know what I mean? Like, exactly.
I feel that way all the time.
That big plushie doll. I don't want to haul that big plushie.
Mine's more stuff like, when my parents went after we went, and one of the things was that we wanted. What were we there for? We were there for food and wine. I feel like.
Yeah.
No, we were there for the. Yeah, I don't even.
It was you were in the last 2 weeks of food and wine.
So I think what it was is that. Like, we saw the ornament for Christmas, and, kind of was like, oh, it's Christmas. Like, whatever, man. Like, I'll go back and get that. And then I'm like, where did we see that? Oh, that was really far. Like, and then I sent my parents, went, a few weeks after us, and I was like, hey, while you're there, food and wine was still going on. I said, can you get this for me? And that turned into way more work than I thought. Mm-hmm. Wait, is it this one? No, I sent you a picture of it. It's not that one. Like, where did you find it? I don't know. I asked everyone at Disney and no one knows where it is. And I'm like, oh my God. And then they found it eventually. But, yes, I would have probably bought that if I didn't have to carry something delicate. That's for me is not even the size sometimes. It's if it's delicate, I don't want to carry it all day.
Yeah. I mean, I do, to your point, I do think that it does probably have an impact on what people buy. I do think it probably has that, but it's also like it feels like Iger's empowering Josh D'Amaro to do stuff now that's like more about the guest experience and not necessarily all bottom line related, right? Like, because I mean, listen, the parking fees were easy money for them, right? Like, that's easy money, right? Like, and to get rid of that is probably they're gonna take a hit to their revenue, right? Or they're gonna make it up in the rack rates, right? But it's stuff like that people always say is like the Disney magic or the Disney difference is those little services like that just make things easy. And so, but if you also think about it, like if you think about the logistics of making something like that work, it probably involves like 100 people a day, to move all that stuff around.
I think way more than that.
Probably hundreds. Yeah. Probably hundreds of people to move all that stuff around.
Well, and that's the difference. When you pull out the parking fee, you're not impacting staffing.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, but I mean, it adds expenses though, right? Like it adds a lot of expenses.
Sure.
Yeah,
but I think isn't part of like kind of what we're dealing with just in general in this day and age is staffing issues across the board.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, we've talked about this before. We talked about this last week with the dining plan thing. It's like they've said many times, and this is a problem that's going on all over the place, is they can't get short order cooks, right? And that's a tough thing for them to get. So it's part of why they're not bringing the dining plan back, right? And it's probably also part of why they're not doing this, right? Like they're doing the package delivery, because it really probably takes hundreds of people behind the scenes to do it. So
I think you kind of said it earlier, Tom. That the whole thing about the guest experience versus the bottom line. I think that's where a lot of this problem came in, is that the previous management was looking just solely at the bottom line and not realizing that the guest experience is the bottom line at the end of the day. And secondly, I know there was the whole like, well, they have to appease shareholders and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is, and this is where I think Iger is a lot better at this, is that you have to convince people that if you want to make money, you have to spend money.
Absolutely.
And the whole part about, well, they want to, or if they want to do this, they have to staff up and whatever. It's like, yeah, well, you got to pay your people. And he may look and go, yeah, we know there's going to be an upfront cost to this, but it's going to pay back in a year, 2 years. You're going to see the returns on this, because the amount, you'll be able to track exactly how much people are spending. Let's talk just specifically about the sending stuff back to your room. Is look at the difference between when that's available, how much are people spending, versus when it's not there, how much are people actually spending in the parks. I bet it's very easy to graph out how much that's actually making them, and then they can staff it accordingly. But the problem is getting people to understand that hey, you got I think Iger is gonna empower Josh to say we want to spend money on this because it's gonna make things better.
Yeah, and I think that was probably part of the problem too, right? Is like Chapek ran the parks before, right? So he probably had a lot of hand in forcing Josh Giamaro to do things that, he didn't necessarily want to do, right? Because I think in the past, when Josh Giamaro was under Iger, he made a lot of decisions that people liked, right? Like he was very well liked executive and did a lot of good things. And so then, things just kind of changed under Chapek, like that there was a noticeable change there, even though Josh was still in charge of the parks, right? And so like now that Iger's back and all of a sudden things are changing, and it just makes me feel like we were saying, it's Iger empowering Josh Giamaro to make the right decisions for the parks, because Iger understands that part of the bread and butter of the company are the parks, right? Like, and I think Chapek got so focused on streaming, like it was all about streaming and nothing else. And it's like, let's forget the parks, right? Like whatever, the parks are just a cash machine that will keep generating cash, and we'll keep milking more money out of every single guest that comes through. And like, Iger did something, the price increases under Iger, but it wasn't like the nickel and diming stuff. And he understood that the experience was important. He understood that when people are happy and they enjoy themselves, that they come back, and also that they spend more, right? Like, so you can have the guest experience piece and also the revenue piece, right? Because they know that if people are happier in the parks, that they spend more money per person. That's a fact, right? So like, but they just got so focused on like, these little fees here and there and charging for all this other stuff. It kind of fell apart. And I when I see these changes, this just tells me this is just the beginning, right? This is just the beginning. The quick things they can do that are like, are things that are pain points, right? Like, there's other things that they know are a problem that they're working on. Like, I just feel like they're going to really turn this around and get it back to where it was pre-pandemic, and get it to a point where they're doing a lot of the things that fans want them to do, and making people happy again, and not making it feel like everything's too expensive and everything's too difficult, right? Like, so I don't know. I just see this news and it makes me like really positive for the future, and makes me think that they're going to try to bring back some of those things that were conveniences to guests. So I don't know. Maybe I'm too optimistic about this stuff.
No, I mean, I don't think we're going to get everything we want, but you're right. I think the general trend is this will be more positive. So let's talk about the third point that we brought up here. The attraction photo downloads to be included in Genie Plus.
Yeah. Smart
so
move.
So here's the, both sides of that, I guess, is, Genie Plus is already kind of looked down upon because it's it's fast pass, but you pay for it, and it doesn't really seem like it's offering anything. Now that they're folding PhotoPass into it, basically, you're basically getting daily.
It's only
daily
attraction photos, PhotoPass.
Correct. Yeah, you're right. It is only attraction photos. So I guess is this enough to sway the general perception of Genie Plus? Or do you think
it's a smart move? I didn't realize, I'll be honest with you, I didn't realize that you couldn't get attraction photos anymore for free.
Yeah, no, you just got to get it as part of PhotoPass. Yeah.
Right. I didn't realize that. And I guess maybe because I'd kind of always done PhotoPass as the kids were younger, right? In the past couple of times I didn't do PhotoPass because of COVID and because the kids were older and, phones, right, being so much better.
Yeah.
But I think it's smart.
Yeah.
I think it's smart because I think you had this kind of lull where, there was masks on photos. People didn't necessarily, certain people didn't want them if there was masks. And then the whole thing with people didn't wear them. So there was kind of like this time frame where these weren't as prevalent and maybe desired, let's say.
Desired, yeah.
Yeah. And now all of a sudden you bring it back. I think it makes sense to stick it somewhere, right? Because where were you getting them before, right? I mean, you're getting them through PhotoPass, right? Or did
you get them through regular PhotoPass? Like if you bought PhotoPass, you would get the attraction photos too.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is putting them here. I mean, does it mean that if you get PhotoPass, you're not getting them? Are they only part of Disney Genie Plus?
No. I think it's you get both. If you were to buy overall PhotoPass, you'll get everything.
So is this just not an extra benefit with Genie Plus? Like, is this really? Yeah. I mean, I don't think this is necessarily taking away.
It's not taking anything away. No.
Yeah. So I like it.
It just makes the Genie Plus service more valuable. That's it.
And it costs them nothing, right? That's again, this is another cost them nothing.
Yep. It's an easy change that is going to be a popular addition, a popular thing, and it's going to make Genie Plus more attractive. It's another thing they can put on marketing and say, hey, you buy Genie Plus, guess what? You also get your digital downloads of your attraction photos for free. Like the more features they can add, the more that $15
especially especially the more features that they can add that cost nothing. And again, remember, it's not just going to be $15 anymore. It's going to be sliding scale. So it could be anything.
Sliding. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Right. We know. I never used the attraction photos for anything. They were a one look and done for me, but
man, I don't know, man. I got the best photo of all time of my daughter on the Frozen ride from this last trip. So this is what I will have forever. That is one of my favorite things ever, of just her looking terrified going down the mountain, going to the hill. So, I mean, you're right though. Like for the most part, like not all most of the photos are not great, right? Like, but there are certain ones that you get sometimes that are just ones that you keep that are where somebody's making a really funny face, or like, the ones on Buzz Lightyear are the biggest waste ever, right? Like
they're so boring.
Because they're so boring, and you're just making a dumb face while you're focusing and trying to shoot something. Like, and actually, Haunted Mansion's similar, although you get some pretty funny ones with Haunted Mansion. But
the thing about Haunted Mansion is that you and I mean for me, it's most ride photos because I know where they are. We'll try and do something dumb, just for the sake of getting a laugh out of the photo. But, to your point, Damon, a lot of those are, kind of, you look at them once, you laugh and that's it. But, every once in a while, there is those gems, or, like to Tom's point, there's that one ride where it's like, you hit a very specific memory with it. Like for me, this last trip actually, and, to the point about, is PhotoPass worth it? I was lucky. I didn't realize this, but I actually had a PhotoPass credit on my account because before the pandemic, I had bought PhotoPass for a trip, and then when we were going, we ended up getting annual passes, so I never used the PhotoPass on my trip. So I had just like for a week, I just had free PhotoPass. So when we were down there, I actually didn't activate it right away. I was kind of like, I don't know if this trip, we're going to get a lot of photos. But then when we rode Guardians the first time, the reaction for me and my son, like that was it was just one of those moments where like we both had just like this thing, and we still talk about it today. Like, when we hear the song from the ride, because I threw it onto one of my Spotify playlists, we still talk about it. So like having that photo to me was way more valuable just for that, like just that one photo. Is like, the thing is I would have paid for just that one photo, but because, you know, we ended up, I end up looking, I was like, well, you know, I have this credit, I'll just use it for the whole week anyway. But now that it's like, you know, hey, you know, if that was just rolled into the Genie Plus, I wouldn't have really thought twice about it. I would just been like, yeah, you know, Genie Plus makes sense for this, right? So
yeah.
And I guess they say it's for Genie Plus. Does it say? Does that include the individual lightning lanes?
I don't think so. I think it's just if you buy the Disney Plus service for the day. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about if you just were to buy one lightning lane. Yeah, I don't think so.
See, that's dumb if they didn't do that. Because
you're
paying for a lightning lane, you should.
Yeah, let me get the picture. But I wonder if the logistics of that are just, you know, maybe the system can't do that.
Yeah. That might be a little more challenging. Yeah. That might be a little more challenging. I think this is a good addition. Like I said, this makes me feel really positive that this is going to be a good year where they're going to announce a lot of new things and we're going to, you know, kind of see what the future is going to be, right? Like what the next steps are going to be here, right? And also, you know, I didn't put this article out there. Go ahead, Trevor. Sorry.
I was just going to say I'm looking forward to your TED talk about the Magical Express coming back.
Oh, it's going to be amazing when I get this right. You guys are going to be like,
I mean, I don't use it, so I'm not going to care that much. But I'll give you a pat on the back and attaboy if that's what it takes.
If I do that, I'm going to sign myself as a group expert on rumors or on.
There you go. You could do that.
All right,
you could do that.
Yeah, can we talk about you assigning yourself as a group expert, Damon?
I mean, I am the group expert on animation, so I don't understand why that's a problem.
No, it just made me laugh because I got a pop-up on my phone and it said, someone is requested to be a group expert. By the time I went in, it was already approved. And I'm like,
of course it was. Who did it? Well, you know what the problem was? It kept on listing me as like a new user, and I kept on being like, oh, dude, how long is this going to be? Right? Like, then I was like, wait, why am I not just a group expert? And that would be even better. And then I don't have to see the waving hand anymore. Right. But then I was a group expert and I still saw the waving hand. But
well, yeah, it doesn't go away for a certain amount of time. So
yeah.
Anyway, we'll see. Listen, we'll see what happens. That's just my crazy prediction for the year. We should also mention though too for pass holders. So the park reservation requirements, basically, it's the intent here is for pass holders to be able to make like spontaneous visits in the afternoons, which is, you know, without having to do a park pass, which is, you know, great for pass holders, right? I mean, I think that's a great thing. It also says they'll receive access to PhotoPass lenses and one complimentary Cinderella Castle Mural of Memories experience. Wow, that was a mouthful. I don't remember what that is. I seem to remember, wasn't it the thing where like it puts your photo on like a AR photo of the castle or something? I think we talked about it, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't even remember what that is. But
it sounds like something I really wouldn't care about. So if
it's like filters and stuff, I'm just
So we should also mention though, we should also mention really quickly. So the parking fees thing is already in effect. That went in effect January 10th. The other two things they said in the next few months, you know, obviously there's technology changes that have to be made here, so that'll take some time. But they said they'll announce when it will announce at a later time. But they said sometime in the next few months. So we'll just have to wait for that.
April 2nd.
There you go. We want to talk about let's do our ad really quick. I think we're probably halfway through.
Okay,
first ad of 2023.
Yep, and it is DVC Resale Market. So DVC Resale Market, a World of DVC company, is the leader in the DVC resale industry with 13 former Disney Vacation Club guides and 3 former Disney Vacation Club quality assurance managers. If you're thinking of buying DVC, browse the largest selection of DVC resale listings anywhere, with DVC experts on hand 7 days a week to answer your questions. If you're thinking of selling, turn to the friendly professionals at DVC Resale Market, where over 98% of listings sell within 30 days. In 2021, DVC Resale Market helped over 4,400 families join or add on to their memberships. Go to dvcresalemarket.com or call 1-844-DVC-PROS, that's 382-7767. When you speak to them, be sure to let them know that Welcome Home sent you.
Gotta get those numbers updated.
Yep. Yeah, we need those 2022 numbers now.
Yeah, we gotta get that updated. It's the beginning of the year. We'll get it going.
Yeah, anyway, we'll cut them some slack.
Yeah, so I put this on here because I was really interested.
Yeah, I don't know why.
You're not interested in this, David?
Neither am I.
No.
All right, we don't talk about it. I threw out there
some cruises. They're going to be on rivers. They're in Europe. They're
I don't know.
expensive.
Yeah, they
Sounds
are
cool, but
right?
too expensive for me.
I just saw this Oktoberfest itinerary, which sounded kind of fun. But
I mean, listen, they're super cool for people that want to spend their money doing that. Absolutely, I think. But it's a lot of money. I don't think I could do it. It's pricey.
I mean, those adventures by Disney's they're really, really pricey.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we don't have to talk about it. I just threw it out there. That's fine. We don't talk.
We're talking about Tron instead.
Yeah, we talk about Tron. You don't want to talk about that either, right? So
I want to talk.
I mean, Tron's Tron, man.
Yeah.
It opens April 4th, Magic Kingdom. I mean, go see it if you're there. The person in our group that's making a trip, like flying in, going on Tron, and then flying out the same day, like that's crazy to me.
That's some dedication right there.
I mean, I'm trying to think about like what IP. I mean, listen, they put a gummy coaster out there. I would consider that.
Gravity Falls?
I mean, shoot, I pretty much almost did it for foot golf, so I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. But
that's true.
I mean,
the you thing did take a trip down and just do foot golf. You did.
That's all we did.
Yeah,
and we were there for like a day just to do foot golf.
Was it worth it though? Was it worth it?
I mean, it was cool because I was with my kids and it was during COVID and there was like something to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But for Tron, I don't know. I mean, first of all, I think it is going to make Magic Kingdom something else.
It's going to like bananas. Yeah.
Because Magic Kingdom was this spot where like, listen, we literally ran into Magic Kingdom, went on that stupid Carousel of Progress and then bounced just to say that we were
Carousel of Progress stupid. What?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm offended. I'm triggered.
We did that just to say we were at Magic Kingdom. Yeah. Right. For no other real reason than like, oh, did we just come to Disney and not go to Magic Kingdom? Now, I would normally avoid Magic Kingdom with, the way that my kids' ages are. Now, this kind of makes that not the case, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden, the park is going to be crazy because you have two distinct travel groups now.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to be a lot. And it's not a ride that I think I'm more excited for this than I am after going on Guardians, because I think this is that like kind of,
this is more your style coaster. It's speed and yeah.
Yeah. And it's got a little bit of a different vibe going on. I don't think that it's as themed as I was like. I think what I'm starting to realize is a lot of things that I wish were even more themed, if that's even, possible for a ride like this. I don't know if it is.
How could this be more themed?
I just feel like there's like those open areas where you can kind of see the park. That's what I'm talking about.
The outside part of it?
But yeah, I mean, when you're riding the ride, I feel like you can see outside of the bubble of the ride.
No, because the there's only that one outside part, and then the rest of it's inside, I think. I mean,
but there is an outside part, right?
Yeah, it's just a brief part, though, that you go through the canopy. Yeah.
Again, right? More themed, right? I don't want to see any outside part.
But that's so you can see the canopy, though. The canopy is like part of the whole thing. Like it's part of the grid thing, right? Yeah.
And you're seeing the courtyard. You're not seeing like the larger Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to see anything else. I want it to be more enclosed, I feel like, than it is. I want it to be a little bit, I don't know, man. I just want it to be more.
You just want more? You just want...
I want more theming in everything.
I just feel like this is so themed, though. Like just from the coaster, like from what you're sitting on to like...
I'm watching it now.
The queue and like, when you take off is like so themed and...
Yeah, you know what it is? I think it's more of the boarding.
Really?
I think the boarding areas I wish were a little bit less boarding. Like I don't even, you know what I mean? Like I know what this means. I feel like they like I need to be separated more, kind of like I am on Soarin'.
Okay. You mean
right? Like I feel like I like that a little bit better. Like where I feel like.
So you don't want to stand there and watch other people get on the coaster. That's what you're saying. Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
so you don't
like Avatar, where they have like the separate room.
That ride is so far out of my brain because it's so stupid. But I can't even.
Okay, but you've been on it and you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I have to actually. It's funny though. I actually really had to think about it. But yes, I do. But I had to think about it because I kind of have put it out of my brain because we haven't been on that in a while.
I haven't either, but only because I haven't felt like dealing with rider swap with my daughter. My trips have been more about my daughter than about us. You know,
you're a few years out before you're going to be riding that again, Tom.
Yeah, there's been a couple things like that we just haven't.
I don't know. I'm looking at. You made me have to go and watch Tron because I knew that I was right, dude. There's way more looking at the park access than you think.
Yeah, but it's just that one part though. Like the rest of it.
No, it's not. You're literally staring through. No, go watch the ride again.
The
during
one
the
section
day.
of the coaster though, like it's like one loop outside, and then you're back inside.
Well, the launch you can see all outside. So I'm watching it right now. So that way there's no discrepancies here. So during the launch, right?
You're inside.
I'm pausing it right here.
The Shanghai one, right?
No, I'm watching the one from this park.
Oh, did they post one?
There's snips, yeah.
There's little snips, yeah. I mean, there's a full video of the one from Shanghai, and it's pretty much.
I'm not watching that one because I knew that was a question. But during the launch, you can see the park on the left hand side.
During the launch,
and it's
what if you did it at night? What if you did it at night?
Night would be way better for me.
Yeah,
I would agree with you because I think you would see less of that outside. But that's kind of what I mean by immersion. Like for me, like I want that like 100% immersion movie-ish feel. That's all.
Okay. All right.
I'm getting picky. As things get bigger and better, I feel like I can be pickier about things.
That's fair.
And again, I do like the way that Soarin' does their kind of like separate from everyone else until you get, and like I like that feeling. I feel like Tron would be way cooler if like you went in a group with just the people from your cycle racing thingy.
I get what you're saying. You just you don't want to see.
Yeah, I think that Guardians.
You don't want to like
that.
oversee. You don't want to have that part where you're like overseeing everybody getting on the ride. Like
like I felt like Guardians. You had that like kind of lead up right when you're in those rooms, and then you're all of a sudden seeing everyone get on again.
I get you. I get what you're saying.
That's all.
I understand.
But I think this is. I'm going to like this ride better.
Well, yeah, because it goes like 60 plus miles per hour. So
it's more of a ride that I would get down with. I think it's probably going to be way shorter than it should be. But I get it, right, of where it is. But I think that the coaster, like itself, like the way you sit on it's pretty cool. I think it's going to make a lot of people not be able to go on it based on that, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it's cool. It's just, I don't think I'm making a trip for it.
It's got the Daft Punk soundtrack from the last movie. Oh, it's a 2-minute duration.
Yeah, yep. I mean that's just what's normal, I guess. These days.
It's pretty average for roller coasters. I feel like nowadays, right?
Like I wish it was longer, but I get why it's not.
Yeah, and it goes. Yeah, so it'll be 60 miles per hour. So yeah, okay. Well, okay. Oh, do we have anything else? I mean, on this one. I mean, it makes sense. They're opening it up right after the 50th anniversary ends, right? So
yeah, and again, we have to get our new picture for the group. I've been texting with Mr. Charles about that. We need our new group picture after.
Yeah. He did some.
He keeps on sending me nighttime pictures, and I was like, that vibe of like that dark background doesn't work with the group. Like it needs to be not at night. So
it needs to be bright.
We've been having ongoing discussion. He claims that there's USB drives he has to go through. Everything that he took last time was at night. It seems like I'm asking him to turn off the Niagara Falls, but I'm sure at some point. And then he was saying he was going in June, and I'm like, yeah, but 50 is going to be over soon. Like,
yeah.
So what comes after the 50th of what's next?
The 100th.
Yeah, really? What other park is next up on the list?
Well, no, they have the 100th anniversary stuff they're going to be doing this year, the 100th anniversary of the company. But you're saying like, what's the next park milestone?
Yeah, what's the next park?
I don't know. 25th anniversary of Animal Kingdom, maybe. I mean, they're doing the EPCOT anniversary right now, right?
Yeah. What about Hollywood Studios?
Yeah, when is Hollywood Studios? Yeah, so it's the 40th anniversary of EPCOT. Well, it was the 40th, yeah, because that was 82. So it's 40 years now. And then let's see, Hollywood Studios. I don't remember off the top of my head when that opened. MGM, right? I'm surprised you don't still call it MGM. That feels like a hill that you would die on.
I wish dude, the hat not being there is so hurtful. So 89 was MGM at Typhoon Lagoon.
Okay, so it's 33 years for Hollywood Studios. So, but I think Animal Kingdom's 25 this year because I think it was 99. It's not this year. It's next year.
I got the list up. Animal Kingdom is 98.
98. So that is the 25th this year, right?
Okay.
Did anyone else see the thing on the Facebook? I have to. This happened like right before we started recording. I saw somebody post in one of the groups. Did anybody see the article about Animal Kingdom closing as a park? And
wait, what?
Just wait a second. So one of the Disney blogs, I'm not going to say which one, but not a particularly reputable one, picked up a news article from a site called Mousetrap, which the name should really just tell you what it is. But
I don't see this on the group. What are you talking about?
It's a Disney satire site. No, it was in a different group. So one of the blogs picked up an article from a Disney satire page that Animal Kingdom would be closing because it's not profitable enough. And so now there are people in the Disney internet that are treating this like it's true. Just because people.
Could you imagine? Like,
they're never going to do that. I mean, the article was like they're going to bulldoze it and build a new park. Like, there's 0% chance of that ever happening. It's absurd. It's absurd. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's the 25th anniversary of that this year, right? So.
Oh, did anyone watch Willow? I haven't watched Willow yet.
I heard it was really good. I saw a lot of great reviews, man.
Yeah.
I have not, though. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised you haven't watched it. You were like pumped for that.
Yeah, I was. Alice in Borderlands it was a lot. Like, it was super duper good, but like it kind of just wore me out of TV, man. Yeah, I needed like a TV break, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Even though I did start watching Velma on HBO.
You know what I've been obsessed with lately, and this is not a Disney thing, so we're just going to go off on a tangent here. But I've been watching For All Mankind on Apple TV. Man, that show is good.
Never did that. Yeah,
it's so good. It's so
What's
good.
it about though?
So it's one of those alternative history shows where the idea is that the Russians won the space race and we didn't, but the space race basically never ended. So we like keep sending rockets up to the moon like constantly, and it's really good. It's really well done. It's very. I mean, I've been kind of like glued to it for like a couple weeks now. So
all right, maybe. I'm just excited that Paramount Plus is getting a D&D series.
Oh yeah, that's happening. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what happens after the movie.
I also saw the Phineas and Ferb thing, which I don't think I've ever seen Phineas and Ferb. I think I kind of missed that one, but I know you're not into it either, Damon. You didn't see this,
I've watched it, but it's
I'm
okay.
No, I'm all about Phineas and Ferb. The fact that you've never seen it is
it's coming back. Did you see? You saw it coming back.
And again, it's one of those that like I don't hate it. Like it's just that when I watched it, it's just not my vibe for whatever reason. Which again is very weird because it really should be. Now Milo, on the other hand, I really liked.
Mm-hmm. There is also
maybe it's
Hamster
the
and
age,
Gretel,
which I don't like. I don't like. I think a little bit has to do with the age of the main characters.
Okay,
when they skew a little younger, it's very difficult to enjoy it as much. I'll tell you though, the Dragon Prince has been just on fire as a television show. Like you're looking for something to watch, that thing is just phenomenal. But yeah, I think that's where it happens. Like kind of that skews a little bit younger of the main character. It makes it a little bit difficult for me.
Yeah,
I can get on board with 300-year-old gummy bears, but 10-year-old kids is where I draw the line.
Your gummy bear obsession never ceases to amaze me.
I love gummy bears.
I know you do. I just have never watched it. I don't know. I just never watched Phineas and Ferb. It just wasn't ever a thing that I was even really aware was happening when it was on. I don't know. I don't know. It's just that not a thing I was interested in. I'm trying to think of it was 2007, I think I saw that it was on. Like, I don't know. I just wasn't watching that kind of stuff in 2007.
Yeah, I think the thing about it, or, for us, my son, it was on and it ran long enough that, like, by the time he was, like, starting to watch Disney TV or, past, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, he was, that was a show that was just on, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it became a mainstay in our house. So, I'm very aware of Phineas and Ferb. We've watched, I think we've watched all of it at this point. I except maybe, I don't know if we watched the last movie they did. But yeah, it's one of those things that, in our house, it's like, oh yeah, Phineas and Ferb. Yeah. That's just, it almost became something you turn on when there's nothing else to watch, or, you just wanted background noise because, there's a lot of episodes and you don't necessarily have to pay attention on every single episode, although there is larger story arcs that a lot of people overlook. And again, I know it's not for everybody, but I'm happy if they're doing more of it, if that's, it seems like, they realize people want more of it. The one thing I find funny is that, we talked about them, taking out the Perry the Platypus stuff and putting in DuckTales in Epcot.
And then they bring this back and DuckTales is no longer.
Right? And it's like, you should have just left it.
When you think about it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, DuckTales is probably the bigger property, though, right?
Well, I don't know. So you have to remember, like, a lot of the people that like DuckTales OG, right, 87, are older.
Yeah, that's our age group.
Yeah, and the new one was just kind of, shoehorned in between a lot of other things that were going on, right? I found, and maybe this is something like in the past few months, I finally realized that people would say, there's a lot of television. There is too much television.
Oh, and even 100%.
Even back then, during that time of the new DuckTales, there was still, a lot of television, where the OG one there wasn't, so a lot more people watched it. But I think it's a different age range. I think Phineas and Ferb probably is a little bit bigger because of, crossover, and maybe just because of, longevity. Excuse me.
Yeah, it was in that position where, like, it was really like on the end of like cable TV.
Yeah.
So, we were kind of transitioning out of cable TV into streaming services. And so it had the luxury of being, part of regular programming. So, for us, it was, once we hit the point of, streaming services, we would just watch it.
It's crazy. Yeah. But, I mean, there's so much on television that, like, it's not, and I follow television and animation, and still, like, stuff pops up, and I'm like, wait a second. Like, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Like, that's coming? Like, woo, okay.
Talk about sneaking up on me, Damon. Like, so and this is technically Disney related, because Disney's actually putting this out. That Mel Brooks made a History of the World Part 2 coming out series. And I was like, and I loved the original. I love Mel Brooks. And I was like, I saw this and I was like, I didn't even know this was happening. It's coming out in March. And I was like, what?
Yeah. There's a lot of things that just kind of sneak up on you time wise. And it's a good thing, I guess, having more TV, but I think it also makes it harder for a bunch of people to really buy, right? So when you talk about the theme parks, when you have so many things, now you need to keep your audience larger instead of very niche. And I don't know. I just, listen, when I was growing up, because I'm older than you guys, like, there was only certain things to watch. If you didn't like them, you better like them, because that was it, right? Like,
well, that was part of the whole thing.
I grew up without cable, so I know what you're talking about.
That was part of the whole thing with like DuckTales, though, right? Because it was the Disney afternoon, right? So you had that block of Chip and Dale, Tailspin, and DuckTales, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, and I was trying to explain to my kids, right? Because they don't even get it. Like, dude, I used to watch G.I. Joe and Transformers. They were on in the morning. I used to watch them before school.
Yep.
At black and white TV with an antenna, man.
Mm-hmm.
And they just can't even, like, comprehend that.
I had to explain once that. So when I was a kid, I was in a bowling league. So every Saturday I would go off and do bowling, which meant I was not watching Saturday morning cartoons. So we would, when we finally bought a VHS recorder,
nice.
We would, I had a 6-hour tape, and we would just record Saturday morning cartoons, and then I would come home and watch them in the afternoon, which, explaining to my son, hey, I couldn't just like pick a show and watch it. It was like, it was either on that day or it wasn't, or, if I was lucky that
at least you could skip the cartoon. I mean, with the commercials when you had VHS, like,
I figured out early on. I was like, hey, I can just fast forward this. This is, this is way better. But
I'm not gonna lie. The other day I was in my office and I was listening to, I had like a mix going on. I had my headphones in. And I was walking to go get a drink, and I'm in an office with other people here. And because it's a mix, and because I listen to Disney music every once in a while, the DuckTales theme song popped on.
Nice.
I didn't change it, man. I was like, how can you can't change, like, maybe one of the best themes. I might be the best theme song ever for any show, right? I mean, it's It's hard to top DuckTales.
It's up there.
It really is up there. Like, I'm trying to think about other shows that I like better than DuckTales.
Oh,
but that, I mean,
even the new one that they made was pretty good too. Like the new one was pretty good. It wasn't as good as the original, obviously.
Too,
but, what's that?
Darkwing Duck was a good one.
I mean, Chip and Dale was good too. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers was a good one too. I don't think it was as good as DuckTales, but yeah,
maybe.
They were really hitting it out of the park with theme songs back in the Disney afternoon block back in the day.
Yeah, they had some good composers.
They did.
Seriously, man.
So it looks like the rest of the show is all stuff I don't care about. So
that's why I put it at the end, Damon. Why do you
like that.
Listen, I know what I'm doing these days.
There's playoff football today. Hopefully your Giants lose, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I mean, they probably will. Let's be honest. I'm pessimistic.
There you go.
And you have to wait till tomorrow. So
I have to wait till tomorrow.
Well, if you're listening to this tonight, we record on Sundays, release on Mondays. The game's happening Monday night. So if you're listening to this, you may not already know the result of the game and know whether Damon is very sad or very happy. So, all right. Well, Damon, if you don't want to talk about this nighttime show stuff, that's cool.
I definitely do not. I'm usually asleep during these, so thank you.
That's true. Okay. So we had a nice little tangent there talking about animation though and TV shows and such, right? So that was fun. Mm-hmm. So go ahead, what were you gonna say?
So let's go back to park announcements, and they had a bunch of nighttime show stuff that they so I guess the first one on here. Hold on,
Disneyland Paris is the first one. Yeah.
Okay. So Disneyland Paris has a new drone show
and that's part of why I put this on here, by the way, because you got all the rumors of a drone show coming to Epcot, and it feels like they're almost using Paris as a testing ground for this. You know what I mean?
Or I guess the way I look at it is climate wise, it may make sense to run something like this in Paris because they don't have the weather there.
You get snow though. I mean,
but it's a lot easier to predict than how Florida can be with weather, right? And especially like wind conditions.
Yeah, conditions are the key here, right? Like that's because you can't really do a drone show if it's over a certain amount of wind, right? Like it's going to be
exactly.
But I don't know if you watched the video of this, Trevor, but I mean, it looks incredible. Like, oh yeah. I mean, I really do hope they bring this to the American parks because this Marvel show that they're doing at Paris is, I mean, it's awesome, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I wish they could do Marvel stuff in the States too, but that's neither here nor there. But man, like it's just so cool what they can do with these drone shows, and I just really want them to do more of it. I want more of it. Bring it to the American parks. I hope they do.
I hope that I would love for something like this to be a new Epcot show to replace. Oh, yeah, I don't want to say replace Harmonious. I would like it if they would update Harmonious to use this kind of stuff.
All right, that's fair. Yeah,
because I feel like that's like doing it in Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios. I mean, Hollywood Studios, maybe. It kind of lends itself to that kind of stuff. But I feel like it would really like being able to see it in a full proper 3D space and not just have it as not have a drone show as like a backdrop. Oh yeah, like kind of off behind something else. Like having the drones in the middle of the lagoon would be amazing.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I think the big problem you want to run into with these drones, right, is that they're loud. Like they're so loud. Just one drone is loud. Imagine, and then this show has 500 drones in it. Like, I mean, that's incredible that they have that many drones doing this show. But I mean, I do tend to think that that's what's coming to Hollywood. There we go. You want to do another prediction? Epcot, right? So Epcot, new nighttime show is going to be a drone show. That's already at least been predicted, but I'm gonna say it for sure. It's going to happen. So I just believe that that's the route that they're going. And truthfully, when I think drones, I know it's been the present for quite a while, but it still feels futuristic in a way, Well,
just because we're not like in North America, they're not super popular.
No.
Right. Or sorry, I shouldn't say not super popular. They're not prevalent. Like you don't see.
Well, these show drones are not, right? Like you don't see them everywhere, right? Like it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, I saw some
they are
like
becoming
places,
more common.
They are becoming, yeah. I saw some places instead of doing fireworks did like drone shows, right? But it's still not something you see everywhere. And like, the stuff that they're doing with this is pretty, I think, pretty cool. I mean, and Disney's really one of the pioneers of this. They did a drone show many years ago at Disney Springs, and do you remember that? I think we were doing the podcast at that time.
No, I don't.
yeah, they were doing a drone show years and years ago, and I know they developed part of the technology. Part of their research and development did the work on this. So maybe this is just finally the culmination of that. But the fireworks with the drones, with the projections, I mean, it just looks awesome. And I mean, they already did a small drone show, but this looks like a much bigger drone show they're doing now at Paris. So,
yeah,
I just think this is a sign of what's to come.
Oh yeah, totally.
In the American parks, right? Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say whether or not or how much we see it in the American parks. I honestly think, and actually, I'm probably wrong about this, but I feel like
it's okay. It's a time for wild predictions. Make wild predictions.
Yeah, I feel like it'll come to Disneyland before it comes to Disney World.
That's
even though in thinking about it, like Disneyland has the similar challenges with weather, because there is actually a lot of wind. Again, wind is the problem, right?
They do have to cancel fireworks. Not often there, but they cancel fireworks for wind sometimes because they are in like a neighborhood, right? So like they have to be careful.
Yeah, but it's also like because they're in a neighborhood, but it's also just like I live in a similar climate to like, or not like it's not like southern, but I know how it is with the because they have the Santa Ana winds there. We have a similar weather phenomenon which we call a Chinook, but it's effectively the same thing where it's like, most days it's fine, and then all of a sudden you can just get these windstorms where it's just like it'll blow roofs off of houses if you're not careful. So
yeah,
I can see why Disney wouldn't necessarily want to be like, oh yeah, let's and the problem is fireworks is one thing where it's a very like, you can stop fireworks. If you need to bring down drones, it's drones are up in the air for potentially 20-30 minutes kind of thing. How do you plan for if something goes sideways? Like, do the drones just drop where they are, or if that's the case, are they dropping on people? Like, yeah,
I would assume that they could probably have like a boundary, like a safe zone kind of thing, where it's like if the drone wanders past this boundary, it just dies off, or it does.
Yeah,
if they're going to do it in the World Showcase Lagoon, they're going to have some real safety measures there.
Oh yeah, but I feel like there is enough space in the lagoon that
I agree.
You can have that boundary, and because I mean, if you look at how big the barge is, the barge doesn't take up a lot of space, but you could do a lot. Like the airspace is actually fairly large above it.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
So.
Yeah. No.
Anyway,
this is, I think this is a preview of what's coming to the American parks. I think there's been rumors out there about this. I just believe it's going to happen. I think they're going to do it. And I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see a drone show. Can't wait.
Yeah. And yeah, like I said, I feel I can just see it coming to Disneyland before Disney World. That's my fair. Only take on it.
It does seem like Disneyland's getting all the good stuff lately. So,
well, that's not true, and I'm going to use this as a segue because we're getting Happily Ever After back. On
I was going to sing "Ready to Begin." Probably would have to pay rights for the song for that if I did that. So
don't do that. I don't want to.
Well, you also don't want me to sing. Well, it's besides the copyright. You just don't want me singing. But again, something that's debuting. This is going to be a nightmare at Magic Kingdom in early April. I mean, Tron's opening April 4th. Happily Ever After's opening April 3rd. Like, whew, that week's going to be rough, man.
Glad I'm not there that week.
Yeah, seriously, dude. Like, that's Magic Kingdom's going to be packed. I mean, it's funny to me because you remember we talked about this years and years and years ago, Trevor, where people were so upset about Wishes going away, right? And then I was like, just wait until they get rid of Happily Ever After, and everyone's going to be like, oh, when is Happily Ever After coming back, right? And that's exactly what happened. People fell in love with this show, And then they bring out a new show and they're like, no, it's no happily ever after, right? Like, so.
But how long did Wishes run for?
A long time.
like happily ever after. I feel like we got
a couple years.
Like a couple of years before they shut it down. So I don't think happily ever after got a fair run. And then,
that's fair.
Enchantment just, it was not good.
What the cool thing about this is that they enhanced the show, right? So it's not the same as it was, but since they originally, so it was 2017 is when it originally opened. So
I thought it was later than that, but okay.
But I mean, that was 4 years, right? I mean, so it was not that long, but so I mean, compared to like an Illuminations, which was like 20 years, and Wishes, which was a long time too. Because let's see, what was Wishes? Wishes was 2003 to 2017, so Wishes were 14 years.
Right, like so, yeah, like Happily Ever After. I don't know why. I don't know why they thought it was a good idea, like post pandemic, to be like, oh, let's do a new show. Like, why didn't you just bring it back then?
Yeah, I mean, I think they were trying to do something for the 50th, and they probably would have gotten criticized if they didn't try to do a new show, for the 50th. But so since then, though, they've made the upgrades now where they can do the projection mapping on Main Street, right? So they're going to, and that was part of Enchantment. So now they're bringing that to Happily Ever After too, which just makes it an even better experience, right? Like it seems like it's new and improved as opposed to like they made major changes. You know what I mean? It seems like it's pretty much going to be the same show with some minor additions to it.
Yeah.
Which is good, right? Because people
get exactly what they should do.
yeah, which is exactly what they should do. Well, because originally they made it sound like they were just keeping the song and they were going to change everything else, which is fine, right? Because I think the problem that people really had with Enchantment was the song more than anything. Like
there was no hook.
Yeah, the music didn't work. Yeah,
yeah, it did. Like Happily Ever After has a hook, like to the credit of, the singers, because Jordan Fisher was, posting about it coming back because he was,
he was lobbying for it to come back. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like when you hear it, like the minute it starts, you're in it. Like it pulls you in. And the funny thing is like, this was a show that, I had some friends that, we met up in Disney World back in 2019, and they had they didn't know what it was. I was super excited when they're like, we're going to stay and watch the fireworks. And I was like, oh boy, like, they get to see this. Right.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things, after we all saw it, it was a point of conversation. Like months later, we were like talking about it, remember when we were standing in Magic Kingdom and they're like, yeah, I listened to the soundtrack from that, and they're not like hardcore Disney fans, but it pulled them in. And I think that says something a lot about, that versus Enchantment. Like you don't hear anybody saying, oh my gosh, Enchantment, it's on my Spotify playlist. It's there is something to like, all the middle, like, changing up the songs, changing up the, the pace of the show is one thing. But if if the main song doesn't have that hook to it, it's not going to work. Like, I think people don't realize how important that is.
No, and I mean, listen, credit to Disney, right? Because, they spent all this time, working on Enchantment, working on Harmonious, and, both of them didn't go over so well, and they decided to change course. I mean, they could have just dug their heels in and kept them, right? But again, this is why I'm positive about a lot of the things that are happening. Like, they listened and they were like, okay, you guys want Happily Ever After back? We'll bring back Happily Ever After. Like, they don't, I mean, they don't have to do that. They could have just kept iterating. They could have made a whole new show, right? Like, this is smart for them to do. And I know a lot of people are excited about it. I mean, I think I've said this before in the show, like, the first 2 times my wife saw Happily Ever After, she was like in tears at the end. Like it's a show that is, I think, means a lot to a lot of people. Like, a lot of people really love this show. So it's going to be huge when it comes back. So,
oh yeah.
And I haven't been to fireworks in quite a while either, because again, with my daughter, we just haven't done fireworks in a while, which is, a bummer, because I really enjoy the nighttime shows at Disney, and I haven't been to one in a while. So, at some point we were going to try to keep my daughter up, but she she just passed out. We tried one night to do enchantment, right? And it was like 7:30 and she was in her stroller and she was out. And it was just like,
don't push it.
Like,
yet.
we still got like an hour and a half until the show. Like we probably got to get out of here. You know?
So here's the problem you're going to face though. And I realize this is after your kids have seen something like Happily Ever After.
Yeah.
The bar is unattainable for any other fireworks show.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. 100%.
Because like my son, at various points along the way, like we, so here in Calgary, we have the Calgary Stampede, which is known for, they do fireworks. And after, going and seeing Disney fireworks, like, shows like Happily Ever After and stuff, we were like, hey, let's go watch the fireworks during the Stampede. And, he was down for it, and we went and we watched it. And, after we watched the show, we left and he was like, yeah, it was good, but it's not Disney fireworks. That's like, that's the only problem is, when you introduce your kids to it at a young age, they're seeing like the best. Yeah. They're seeing some of the best in the world. And then it's like, okay,
everything else stinks.
You're not going to get that same level. And it is like you said, it's the fact that, they, the projections, the timing, the music, everything is like next level. And, and for something like Happily Ever After, the fact that they're, plussing it is just like, I can understand why people want it back. And I can understand why, after you've seen it, it doesn't matter what else you see. You're just like, you're comparing it to that for the rest of your life.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, we don't have a trip planned this year. Right. So like, and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, and it's not for any other reason other than we just haven't gotten ourselves together and figured out when we want to take a vacation this year. Right. Like that's mm-hmm. literally the only reason. Like we just don't know when we're going to vacation this year. We've got a lot of other stuff going on. And we might not take any vacation this year. I honestly don't know. We haven't figured that out yet. But something like this coming back kind of makes us want to go.
And that back to our earlier discussion around guest experience and bottom line and all that. I think this is something that was overlooked previously. Was
sure.
Someone in your position where you're kind of on the fence. If Disney is offering a better experience, it can be enough to tip the scales for you to say, yeah, I'm going to spend some money. I'm going to go, on a trip.
Yeah.
And to your point, if they decided to not do anything with the fireworks and just leave it, that would have actually left money on the table for them.
We probably still would have gone anyway. Let's be honest.
Well, but
but you're right though. It's more motivation because we haven't seen it in a long time, and like Fantasmic being back, same thing. Like all those things motivate us to want to go back. So.
And that's where the statement of saying trying to cut customer experience to benefit the bottom line is such a wrong way to look at things. And I legitimately hope that's not the stance that Bob Chapek was taking, and he wasn't that nearsighted on it. But it's like it seems like. Some people
he was. Okay. He really was.
Yeah. It seems like not realizing that customer service is the bottom line. Like that experience is your bottom line, because that's how you get return. You get people to buy into it more. It's amazing how much it gets overlooked, right?
No, I 100% agree. And to that point, another part that we have here too is that Harmonious will end April 2nd, right? Mm-hmm. So that will end April 2nd, and they will be running EPCOT Forever again, which, listen, I saw the very first performance of EPCOT Forever, and I liked it. It wasn't, it's not the best of the Disney nighttime shows, but it celebrated the past of EPCOT. It had classic music from different attractions like Horizons and from like Kitchen Cabaret and like, old Figment stuff. Like, so it was very nostalgic, and I liked it. And it, had those really interesting, like, kites that they were flying. I don't know if they're still doing that or not, but it was fine. It was a good interim show. Right. And so they're going to have that as an interim show until the new show launches. And part of the reason why they need that time is because they are saying that they're going to remove the fireworks platforms. Now, they say the fireworks platforms, right? I assume that includes the Stargate and the tacos, but like,
yeah.
I mean, I think those were more water though. Like I think everyone's assuming they mean that they're going to take all the barges out of the lagoon, right?
Yeah. Let's not assume what their intent is when they say that. Like, it's.
I mean, I think that the big complaint about Harmonious, there's two complaints, right? Is that it looks terrible during the day, and it never really did what it was supposed to do, right? Like, because in the beginning of the day, like, I mean, it initially, remember, they shared that, like, oh, you're not going to notice it because it's going to be covered in fountains. Like, there's going to be fountains all the time. So it's never pretty. That never happened.
Never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other problem is that you could really only see it from two places, right? Whereas Illuminations was really built for you to be able to see it around the entire lagoon, right? So those are the big things. So to me, I don't think there's any chance they don't at least take out the Stargate. I could see them keeping the little taco screens because those I think are not as bad as the big one. And they could still do some stuff with those, but I think they're just going to try to wipe the plate clean of all Harmonious and just take everything out.
Here's the problem with those two, that because they're screens, and I saw this when I was there because we got to experience a hurricane. Every time a hurricane rolls through, those things get damaged.
Oh, that's true.
And you know, for their sole purpose being there for a nighttime show and being an eyesore during the day, like the thing that we noticed was, you know, during the day they have there's just like a running animation on the screens, you know, to try and, you know, not make them so obviously
like an eyesore.
Yeah. But after the hurricane, when we were there, a couple of the screens were damaged. And so you ended up, you know, it was supposed to be like a, you know, nice blue waves kind of going through it. And then there was like these large sections that were just either blacked out or like green or something, because you could see it was like, oh yeah, that got damaged. And so somebody has to go out there and fix it, which, you know, if you think about it in the long term, it's like, well, every time a major, you know, it doesn't even have to be a hurricane, but, you know, every time a tropical storm rolls through, you know, you get any kind of inclement weather. If you're having to go out and fix these things, is that, you know, how cost effective is it to keep that stuff running? Right. Like, or, you know, whoever designed them, you know, didn't think about the fact that, you know, these things are going to get pummeled by stuff at certain times a year. Which, I can see why, you know, Disney is probably rethinking their stance on it, is that, you know, it's an eyesore to begin with, but then the upkeep of it is probably not as sustainable as they thought it was in the first place.
I mean, it is kind of incredible that they're willing to scrap a show that they probably spent a ton of money on, right? Like, those barges had to have cost a lot of money to put together, right? And then, you know, that's not even paying, like, you know, to do all the music and, you know, there's a lot that went into that show.
That's not to say that they couldn't use them for parts.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. They could. You know, they absolutely could use it as pieces of the next thing. I mean, I know
because Disney's known for that, right?
They do.
You know, yeah. So, I mean, it's not that they're just going to throw it away. It'll probably get, you know, deconstructed and, you know, somehow used in another capacity, even if it's just, you know, all the equipment inside, you know, being used elsewhere.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, they could use it for something. I mean, we're definitely going to hear this year what is going to be the new, you know, the new show, right? Like, no, whether it debuts this year, I don't know. But if it's a drone show, you would think that the stand-up on that is not going to be that difficult, right? Like, it's going to take them a lot of time to get those barges out of there. It's going to probably take, you know, several months for them to get all that out. Because, I mean, remember, it took them several months to put it in, right? Like, you remember how long it took. So it's probably going to take just as long for them to take that thing out. But, I mean, if they're doing a drone show, I mean, like, what do they really need to do? Like, there's nothing they need to build there, right? Like, I don't know, maybe a place to keep the drones.
Platform.
I don't know. Yeah. Unless they're not taking off from there, unless they're going to come from backstage and just appear.
Well, but then they need a path that they can come out that wouldn't potentially, you know, injure people.
You know, I think it probably would make sense if they were going to like make a big barge that kind of like, remember Illuminations, they would like roll it out every day, right? Like, it wouldn't sit in the lagoon all day,
right?
Yeah. Like, so there was that bridge in World Showcase that they would lift up, and then it would travel every afternoon over there. So it wasn't sitting there all day. Like, they could probably do the same thing with the drones. They could have like a drone. I mean, they could have a drone barge, right? That they just roll out every day. That has all the drones on it, and then it's not an eyesore, right? You still get to see all the way across from the front to the back. So, and
then they can pull it back when they need to, for inclement weather or to do repairs or whatever. That would be a lot smarter.
That would be smart if they did it that way. I mean, we'll have to see, right? But it should be interesting. I remember, I don't know if I've said this on the show before, but there was one time we saw Illuminations where there was the screens on the screens on the world thing were constantly a problem. But we saw it one time where it was in like test mode during the show. Like during the show, it was in test mode. And I was like, oh boy, somebody screwed that one up. And then other times we saw their screen just didn't work at all. There were several times where that was the case. So, but anyway, let's go to Disneyland stuff and then wrap this thing up. So Disneyland also announced several tweaks that they're making. And so those are being able to switch between parks with your park hopper ticket beginning at 11 a.m. So much earlier at Disneyland. They're also going to make more cheaper tickets available. So the lowest cost you can get for a day ticket, right, at Disneyland is $104. And those dates were very limited in the past. Now they said they're going to be adding a lot more of those days. And listen, it has been reported that Bob Iger has said that he was not happy with all of the price increases in the parks, the recent ones. So to me, this is very much has his stamp on it, if you ask me. So there's that. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
And then I'm reading this next one. I'm trying to understand. So the next one was the complimentary Disney PhotoPass attraction photos. So are they saying that you don't? So they're just not charging for
at all
attraction photos?
Yeah, straight up free. Yeah, it's a thank you to our incredible Disneyland Resort guests. We're excited to make PhotoPass digital downloads complimentary for all ticketed guests. Look at that. Although they're promoting it as a Disney 100 celebration thing,
which is fair. Okay, sure. That's fine. If it's only a temporary thing, like you said, it's definitely a smart move just to get people back in the parks and get people back in the perception of Disney not nickel and diming them. I could see the wonderful thing about PhotoPass is, it's previously it used to be PhotoPass was like, you can pay to have printed out photos. And there used to be like, paying for the print cost. And now it's really, there's no cost behind it at this point, right? It's all digital. And, so obviously, Disney can decide whether they want to charge for it or not, which, is up to them. But I just hope, if they're offering this for free, great. I hope when they're done doing that I hope they figure out how to offer PhotoPass in a way that doesn't feel like you're, or like the current PhotoPass is very, unless you're getting a deal on it, it's not worth it.
No, I agree.
Like I don't know. I feel like they could get in that sweet spot where it feels almost like a no-brainer to just get it, but it's not like...
It's so expensive. Listen, I paid for it on my last trip because it was a big family trip. We took a lot of pictures and, I wanted to just do it. And I also got it at half price being a pass holder, right? So I got it much cheaper than it would have cost. I don't know if it's half price. I forget what exactly the discount is for pass holders, but it's a lot cheaper if you're a pass holder, right? So I bought it for that reason because we purposely had taken a lot of those pictures and knew that we wanted them. But you're right. In general, not a good deal.
Yeah. So I hope after this, I'm curious to see if, there should be some tweaks done to it, in the future as well. I think, like you said, this is an easy, give something back to people and, just, kind of get people thinking happy about Disney again, instead of all the negativity that has been surrounding it for a while.
Yeah, it is amazing how much they've changed the narrative so quickly, like with Iger. I mean, it just
totally
completely turned it around. And people are. I mean, I haven't seen anybody saying anything bad about this. It's very positive. And then they also mentioned too that they're going to make more Magic Key passes available from time to time throughout 2023. So I guess as people's passes expire, they're not just going to not offer more. They're just going to offer them as inventory comes available. Maybe once a month or something. They just, whatever's available, they'll put out there. I don't know.
Or what they're deciding is acceptable for the amount of passes to be out there. So yeah, if they decide, hey, we can have another 1,000 people with passes, they'll throw it up as you can get your Magic Key from, this date to this date or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wish they would do this in Disney World because I've been, I wish I didn't have to let my annual pass expire, but yeah, I couldn't justify just holding on to an annual pass for effectively 2 years and not using it. But I've been waiting for it to come back in Disney World as well because, kind of like we're not taking a trip this year, but the plan is as now that we're kind of getting back into the pace of doing these trips and everything, is that annual passes are definitely, even if you only travel twice a year, they're definitely a good benefit, or they were in the past.
Yeah,
so.
The cutoff was like once you buy like an 8-day ticket or whatever. At one point, I don't know if it still is, but once you've gone like 8 times, it's basically worth it.
Yeah.
And we let ours lapse, actually. We decided not to renew them because we just didn't know what our plans were going to be this year. So we just kind of were like, let's not renew them, because even though they're not for sale right now, because we just didn't know what's happening. So
yeah.
But
this is a good sign. If they're looking at it in Disneyland, I would expect, at some point in Disney World, you'll see some annual pass holder announcements come up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. And last but not least.
Yeah. Tiana's Palace is coming to Disneyland Park later this year, which, I mean, this is a no-brainer.
And they announced this previously. We're just now seeing concept art. So
yeah, this is replacing the French Market restaurant in New Orleans Square, which is right next to Splash Mountain, pretty much. Not right next to. There's Haunted Mansion between Splash Mountain and Tiana's place, but it's still like that. New Orleans Square area, it just, no brainer. And the next time I go back, I'm looking forward to all of this stuff. Like just, whenever we end up back in Disneyland, just, seeing this kind of stuff will be good. Because
is this not a large restaurant? Because I'm surprised they're doing a quick service instead of a sit down.
No, I mean, it's not a huge space, but I mean, like everything in Disneyland, you don't you don't get the massive spaces. Like there's nothing like Cosmic Rays in Disneyland.
Gotcha.
So yeah, keep that in mind. But I mean, it's still, it's still a decent sized space, and in that area, like there's a lot of outdoor seating as well. So, and also just where it is along Rivers of America there, it's like, I'm fine with it not being a sit down, because not everything needs to be a sit down. And also the fact that if you really want a good sit down, Blue Bayou is right there as well, which is like the best sit down ever. So
it also it does mention too, though, it says it will expand on many of the current favorites served on the location, explore seasonal flavors and New Orleans classics. So it seems like they're not just going to be like getting rid of the whole menu there. They're going to keep, some of the things that people really like, I guess, from that restaurant, and then they're going to just add to it.
Yeah. And again, it's upping the theming, right? It's,
exactly.
Kind of like what Damon was talking about earlier is, it is more themed, and, definitely if you like Princess and the Frog, it will, that will be the place to go.
The concept art looks great, and I do imagine that Tiana is going to be standing out on the balcony like she is in this picture fairly often. And it also says that she's going to be wandering around the area too, because it's not a character dining thing, but they're saying she'll just be out wandering and about. So that's cool too.
Yeah, and again, something that you're not used to in Disney World is that characters do just wander.
I saw more of it the last time I was there, though. There were a lot of wandering characters last time we were there, more than I remember seeing in a while. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I feel like the country bears are always wandering around in Frontierland.
That's true. I mean, and that's the only place. Whereas in Disneyland, it's like you'll have you'll have the characters in Fantasyland. You'll have, characters in New Orleans and stuff like that, where it's, and it's not like the like photo, like, everyone lines up to get a photo. It's just them walking around. Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's face characters too is also, a little bit different. Like you get a little bit different interaction than you do with like, Country Bears.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this thing up.
All right.
It was almost a 2-hour episode we did today, which is funny because I didn't think we had that much to talk about, but we did go on that random tangent about TV for a while. So
yeah, I think it was good. Sometimes we need to do that. It's
sometimes
just
we need
how
to
the show operates. Yeah.
Yep. That's what happens.
If you expect us to be on schedule, you'll be wrong.
We're never on schedule. That's not a thing. I put together an outline, but it's just an outline.
Yep.
Anyway,
they're not rules; they're more of guidelines.
Yeah. I think I probably was worse about it when we first started. Like I was like, let's stick to the outline, but then we just kind of, started going off.
I was also quoting Pirates of the Caribbean, but
yes, you were, and I just didn't even realize it. Thank you. We've been talking for too long.
That's fair.
That's what happens at the end. We've just been talking too long.
Yep. Okay, so I'll wrap us up then. So as usual, if you guys want to reach out to us, you can always find us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. Please send us your questions, share your own trip reports and whatnot. We love hearing from you guys. If you want to find us on social media, on Facebook, we are Welcome Home Podcast, and you can check out our Facebook group, Welcome Home Disney Waitlist. If you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, that's also Welcome Home Podcast, or Instagram is Welcome Home Pics. Those are great places to follow us whenever we do live videos or go to the parks. You'll see a lot of that stuff posted across those channels. If you want to help support the show, you can go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com and check out some of our merchandise there. And get yourself a t-shirt or a fanny pack or something like that. Bring back the fanny pack again, because we haven't talked about it in a while. and if you want to support us on Patreon, we do appreciate our Patreon supporters a lot. Patreon.com/welcomehomepod is the place to go for that. There is some exclusive merchandise that only Patreon subscribers get, and it also gets you access to our Discord server, which is yet another place that we like to chat with our fans. So if that's of interest to you, I would recommend checking it out, because I use Discord a lot, so I think it's the best, but that's just me, because that's just me. And last but not least, if you guys are listening on iTunes or Spotify, please leave us a 5-star review. It helps more people find the podcast. And on iTunes, if you can write us a review, we love hearing your feedback, or just seeing what people have to say about the show.
Yeah, and I don't have any reviews lately, so we need some more reviews. We haven't ever reviewed a while, so
yeah, I didn't expect we would, because we're still kind of coming out of like that
the holiday
Christmas,
hangover.
New Year's, yeah. Christmas, New Year's fog. So yeah. Please leave us reviews.
Yes, please do, and also don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast, so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, just about any podcast app out there. You can find us, just search for Welcome Home, and the Disney one, of course. Just a reminder to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, all opinions we express on the show are our own. So please talk to a DVC cast member or just a regular cast member for more information about anything we talked about today. Huge thank you to DVC Resale Market for sponsoring this episode, and Worlds of DVC for continuing to be our sponsor. They have been our sponsor now for many, many years, and we really appreciate their support. So please, I can't tell you how many emails I get or how many people have told me they bought DVC through DVC Resale Market or found out about DVC through the show. So we appreciate them. Please, work with them if you're looking to do anything with DVC. They're really great, and they have supported the show for a long time. So join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion. Of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Do a huddle when we hit it. a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl,